What if I told you that the key to living a life full of purpose, peace, and true fulfillment is found in one single command? What if the answer to life's greatest struggles, from confusion to frustration, from failure to loneliness, could be solved by one profound truth? The truth Jesus taught when he walked this earth. Love God with all your heart. But what does that truly mean? Why did Jesus emphasize this so much? And what did it really change about the way we live? Welcome to this moment of clarity, a moment where we'll unlock the power of one of Jesus' most profound teachings. To love God with all of your heart, your soul, and your mind. This isn't just a religious duty. It's a lifestyle, a blueprint for living. But to understand why Jesus said it, let's dive deep into the very nature of this command. First, let's establish why this message was so vital to Jesus. Imagine this, the creator of the universe, who knew every heart, every thought, and every flaw, looked at the people he created and said, "Love me with all your heart." But why all? Why not just a part, a piece, or a fraction? Why does God demand all of us? The answer lies in understanding who we are. You see, from the beginning of time, humans were created with a purpose that was bigger than just surviving day to day. God created us for a relationship that wasn't based on obligation, but on deep, intimate love. And in that relationship, God desires our hearts, fully, completely. To understand the full power of this command, we have to go back to the beginning, the very beginning. In the book of Genesis, God creates man in his own image. He didn't just make us to be workers or servants. He made us to be in fellowship with him. But in the garden, something tragic happened. We chose to love something else more than God. This is where the real story begins. Adam and Eve, the first humans, decided to love their own desires more than God's voice. Their hearts, once fully aligned with God, became divided. The original sin was not just an act of disobedience, it was an act of loving something more than God. They let their hearts wander. The fall of man, therefore, wasn't just a mistake. It was the result of a heart turned away from the love of God. This divided heart is what Jesus came to heal. Fast forward to the time of Moses. God gave his people a clear directive in the Old Testament. Info: Deuteronomy 6:5. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. This was no small command. It was a foundational truth, a declaration of how God wanted his people to live, in total devotion to him. But here's where the plot thickens. The Israelites, over time, got distracted. They wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, constantly turning their hearts to idols, material desires, and their own comfort. They wanted to love God, but often only loved him when it was convenient. Their hearts were divided. Jesus came to change this. He didn't just repeat the law, he lived it out. He showed us how to love God with all our hearts, by living with complete surrender, obedience, and trust in the Father. Jesus came to remind us of the heart of the Father. In Matthew 22:37, Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, and his answer, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind." This is the first and greatest commandment. Jesus didn't just teach the words, he embodied them. He lived a life completely surrendered to the Father. Every action, every thought, every moment was centered on loving God. He never wavered, never gave in to distractions, and never let anything or anyone steal his devotion. Think about it. Jesus, the Son of God, the King of Heaven, walking on earth in humility. He chose to love God, not out of obligation, but out of perfect relationship. A relationship that was unshaken, unwavering, and unyielding. That's the love Jesus calls us to mirror. Now, let's be real. Loving God with all your heart isn't easy. It's not a simple, feel-good idea. No, it's a radical, life-changing decision that challenges everything we know. It asks for everything it demands our time, our time, thoughts, our resources, and our energy. But why does it matter so much? Why does Jesus say it's the first commandment, the greatest commandment? The truth is, when we love God with all our hearts, everything else in life falls into place. You see, God didn't just want our hearts for His own pleasure. He wants us to experience life in its fullness. Loving God with all your heart is the only way to truly experience peace, joy, and fulfillment. All the chaos, anxiety, and confusion stem from a heart that is divided. When we allow God to be the center of everything, all the pieces of life fall into their rightful place. The heart is the seat of your desires. Whatever you love most, that's where your treasure lies. Jesus said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Matthew 6:21. If you treasure your career, your reputation, or your possessions more than God, that's where your heart is. But if you treasure Him above all, He will direct your path. Remember the story of the rich young ruler. In the New Testament, this man came to Jesus, asking what he must do to inherit eternal life. He was a good person, following the commandments, but there was one thing he lacked. His heart wasn't fully given to God. Jesus told him to sell all his possessions and follow Him. Why? Because the rich young ruler's heart was tied to his wealth, and Jesus knew that until his heart was free from that attachment, he couldn't fully love God. And here's the kicker. Loving God with all your heart isn't just a feeling or a fleeting decision. It's a lifestyle. It means putting God first in everything, not as a part of your life, but as the thought-provoking center. Every decision, from how you treat others to how you spend your time and resources, reflects this love. But it also requires sacrifice. When we love God with all our hearts, we choose Him over comfort, over ease, over our own selfish desires. It means laying down our will for His. And yes, it can be hard. But in the end, it's the only way to experience true peace and fulfillment. When you love God with all your heart, you embody the very essence of true life. You see, God is love. And when we love Him fully, we are participating in the very nature of God Himself. We become reflections of His love to the world, sharing His kindness, His patience, His grace. Jesus came to show us this. He came to break the chains of sin and selfishness so that our hearts could be made whole again. When we surrender our hearts to God, He doesn't just take them. He transforms them, making them more like His own. So why did Jesus teach us to love God with all our hearts? Because that's the only way to live fully. That's the only way to be healed, to be restored, to find true peace. And in doing so, we reflect His love to others. Thank you for taking this journey with us today. May you choose with all your heart to love God and experience the fullness of life that He has for you.